All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to crack the code on something you'll see all the time on the TOEIC test, shopping scenarios. Seriously, getting the hang of the vocabulary here can be a total game changer for your score. So, you ready? Let's dive right in.
So, to get us warmed up, let me ask you something. Imagine you're taking the test and you see the words customer or invoice. What's the first thing that should just click in your brain? What kind of situation are they painting for you?
Yes, if you thought shopping scenario, you are absolutely on the right track. Think of these words as little flashing signals, right? They're powerful clues that instantly tell you what's going on. And figuring out the context, that's always step one to getting the right answer.
And that leads us perfectly into our first big strategy, just spotting the scenario itself. I mean, before you can get into the nitty-gritty details, you gotta know where you are, right? And the good news is, the TOEIC gives you some really specific clues to help you out.
Yeah, I like to call these trigger words. The second you see store, department, customer, invoice, or receipt, bam, your brain should just flip a switch into shopping mode. It's like the test is waving a flag and saying, hey, pay attention, this is all about buying or selling something.
Okay, so you've identified that you're in a store. What's next on our little shopping trip? Well, you start looking at the products, right? So let's talk about the language of the aisles, the words for browsing. Because, and this is important, the TOEIC has its own special way of talking about items and prices.
Here's a super important tip. In your everyday life, you might say, I'm looking for some new clothes. But on the TOEIC, it's way more formal. You need to get used to hearing these more general, kind of businessy terms like product, item, or even model. They're not trying to trick you, they're just testing if you can understand the broader business context.
And check this out. This is a perfect example of that formal tone. You're almost never, ever going to hear the word cheap on the TOEIC. Instead, you've got to train your ears to pick up on these more professional-sounding words. Reasonable, affordable, or a great one is competitive pricing. They all basically mean the price is good, but they just sound so much more like business English, you know? Okay, get ready for this one because it's a classic. You are practically guaranteed to see or hear this phrase. That model is no longer available. It sounds simple, right? But it's all about product availability. It's just a very polite, very common way of saying, sorry, we don't sell that anymore. All right, so you've spotted the scenario, you're getting the hang of the product vocabulary, and now it's decision time. We're moving from just browsing to actually buying. This is where it gets interactive. We're talking preferences, choices, and telling someone you want to buy something.
I would like to try this on. See, this is that perfect moment when a customer shows real interest. It's the phrase that takes them from just looking to, I might actually buy this. As soon as you hear that, you know a decision is right around the corner.
Now, let's spotlight a super common grammar pattern you'll see for making a choice. It's prefer A to B. It's so useful because it's a direct comparison. So in our example, customers prefer quality to price. It's super clear. Quality is more important than price. And trust me, the TOEIC loves using this to see if you can understand comparisons. And here's another one you need to know. It's a real workhorse. I would like to, plus a verb. It is the go-to phrase for politely saying what you want. I would like to purchase this. I would like to ask a question. I would like to return this. See how versatile that is? It's everywhere on the test.
And let's quickly finish up this whole idea of availability. You'll hear, this item is out of stock. Pretty simple, right? It just means they don't have it. But then listen for the follow-up. If they say it will be restocked next week, now you know more is coming. It's all about timing, and that detail about timing is very often the key to the right answer.
Okay, let's shift gears. We're now moving into the scenarios that are honestly the most TOEIC-like of them all. I'm talking about complaints and returns. And why is that? Well, because dealing with a problem, that tests a much higher level skill. It's not just about what you want to buy, it's about understanding a negative situation and figuring out the solution.
So you need to be prepared to meet a very familiar face on this test, the unhappy customer. This person shows up all the time, and your job is to figure out why they're unhappy. That's usually the whole point of the conversation, figuring out the problem. So let's arm you with the vocabulary for these problems. If something is defective, that means it's broken. It just doesn't work. If an item was damaged during delivery, it got broken on the way to you. And my favorite, does not meet our expectations, it's just a very formal, very polite way to say, hey, I'm not happy with this. Seriously, these phrases are pure gold for the TOEIC. You absolutely have to know them.
Okay, let's wrap this up and pull everything together into your personal TOEIC listening toolkit. We're going to focus on the key phrases your ears need to be ready for. These are the ones that you'll hear over and over and over again, especially in the listening section.
Think about how a real promotion works. It usually follows a certain flow, right? First, you hear about a special promotion that tells you something is on sale. Then, to make you buy it now, they'll say it's a limited time offer. And of course, what's the last thing you should check? The return policy. If you can hear this sequence, you can actually start to predict what they're going to talk about next.
And that brings us to our final hot list. These are the must-know, high-frequency phrases for any shopping scenario. Ready? On sale, limited time offer, in stock, out of stock, special promotion, and return policy. Get these locked in your brain so you recognize them instantly, and you are going to be in fantastic shape. So there you have it. We've gone over the keywords, the scenarios, the whole shebang. You have the toolkit. But I want to leave you with one final thought, one final question. It's great to know the right phrases, but can you spot the distractors? Can you see those wrong answers that are specifically designed to trick you? Because that's the next level. That's true mastery.